flushing the radiator and cooling system now. What's interesting is that the water temp gauge does not work, but I'm letting all the water go ahead and drain out there now, and I flushed all my cleaning solution out. So we're gonna let all the water drain out of the radiator now, and once all that's all drained out, because I let it flow, it took quite a few minutes. I've let it run for probably 10 minutes now. But I got it out, got the belts and all on. I think I showed you in the video. But right now I let it run long enough to open the thermostat and cycle all the water through. Let it run long enough to get all the old cleaning solution out because it was purple. And once it started flowing clear, then I turned on the video so you could see it. And I'm letting it all drain out on the ground now, so all the water is out of it. Then I'll tighten the radiator back up, and that way the cooling system will be done. It's already got the hoses on it. It's now run through, cycled. So that means it's all burped out and flushed and ready. And that part will be 100%. Now I've got this new Flowmaster exhaust system to put on it, which should bolt right up. And I have this H pipe, which is not a perfect bolt on, but I will modify it to fit. And then I can start actually getting ready to clean. So while it's outside now, I'll probably take advantage to go ahead and start spraying the car off a little bit, get it somewhat cleaned up some, just before I pull it back in. But there it is. It actually runs pretty well, no fuel leaks. I'm going to change the oil again here in a minute. I just wanted to run a little bit and get some of the contaminations all through with the fresh oil, get it all through the Vortex supercharger, because it feeds the supercharger and then it drains back down to the pan. So now that I got all those lines run, got the motor good and warm, now the cooling system's like it is, I'll get all that changed out one more time, then the motor should be good to go. With the new spark plugs and all, it fires right up and runs really good. So I'm using the same thing I do to detail cars called Iron X, and it actually removes iron and contaminants and all, but it's really good about removing oil. So when this car blown head gaskets, I wasn't sure if oil had gotten to the cooling system, and all just sitting up and all those impurities and everything that you saw kind of congealed in the cap and everything. It completely cleaned all that out now. So it looks really nice in the radiator, which means the rest of the cooling system looks good, which means inside the block actually looks good, which why it took it a while. All that purple was what happens when it takes all those impurities and it actually makes them break loose and come out. It'll turn purple. So that's good. Seeing all that purple is really good news. It means that's all the impurities that it took out of the cooling system and the block and the radiator. So I was happy to see that. It just took a while for it to get all the way out. But anyway, there it is. I'm getting ready to do the next steps. All right, so I got the water temp working. So the reason was I had the water too low to get to the gauges because they're in the heater tube pipe. So what I did was I had the cap off anyway. The water level just wasn't high enough. So like a mod motor, where the sensors are in the heater tube, I took the sensor out and I started filling the water up from there, and I had the cap off from the radiator. So as I filled it up from there, the water level rose up to the cap. As soon as it got high enough to the cap, I put the cap on, and then I finished filling up, which didn't take much. And then I put Teflon tape around the sensor before I put it back in so it wouldn't leak. Put the sensor in. I decided to do a quick rinse on it just because it's so dirty inside here. I'll show you. I'm just starting to rinse it now. But so we don't miss the first official wash, all this pollen on it. have the hood shut in case you're wondering why it doesn't fit right. It's not shut. Getting my PB blaster out, and I'm getting ready to start taking this exhaust off in here. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna spray these bolts. Man, don't tell my PB blaster's about out. Apparently it is. There we go. Spray that around the bolt threads, so hopefully those will come out without breaking. And then back here, I'm gonna actually cut and pull the tailpipes out. But what helps you is to spray a little bit up in here, so this this mount will come out. But this clearly is empty now, so we gotta go get some more PB blaster. But for now, I do have some WD-40, and that'll work just as well. Come up in here and spray these rubber hangers, and that will allow me to slide the hangers out of the way. And once that soaks, we'll get all this off. And there's the brand new cat back here, Flowmaster American Thunder cat back, and we will put it on the car, and hopefully everything will work out just fine. Now this H pipe, I'm gonna leave it in place for now just to get this exhaust kind of fitted up, and then I'm gonna change the H pipe. Why? Because right here you can see it's got holes in it, and it's got a hole right here. So the pipe I have is close. I think it'll fit on this side. This side is off because it's for a different set of headers, but I'm gonna modify it, see if I can make it work without having to resort to go to a muffler shop. Ultimately, we will have to get it welded up, but that's neither here nor there. We can figure that out at that point. So you can see how bad this pipe is rusted on here, and you can see where I've pulled the mufflers down. I actually had a pinhole at the top there, but if you look down here on the bottom, you can see just how bad they were deteriorated. So these Flowmasters have flowed their last bit of exhaust through this car. They are donezo. So I'm about to pull them out of the rubber hangers up here. Again, I'm gonna spray like some WD-40 on them, and I get them off. Here's the tailpipes, and I'll get the rubber hangers off of here, and then I'll start fabbing up the new exhaust onto the Cobra. That sucks. Alright, well, that was an ordeal. This is the H pipe. You see clearly what was rotted at the ends here and in the middle. and you can see where it was hooked to the headers. I got to replace those gaskets there on it, and I got to get up in here and just basically clean under the bottom of the car really good. But I do have the tailpipes kind of hung up in here for now, and I've got to hook up this H-pipe. This is a Flowtech H-pipe, so this side I think is going to bolt right up. That side where it goes to the header is a little funky, so it's a little too long. I got to measure and cut that, but we'll get to that in a second. But you'll see how these headers come out and they're even across, and the Flowtech is a little short on the driver's side. So either way, the old exhaust is off here in the box. So if you have a Flowtech H-pipe and you go to put it on the car, it's not going to fit. The reason it's not going to fit, you're going to have this piece here attached, and it's going to go past your headers, just like that. So what you have to do, you have to basically cut this piece off right at the S-shaped bend, like so. So we will discard of that. Don't need that anymore. Might keep that, might come in handy later. And you need to have some header adapters. I actually have these left over from my TTI headers for the Hemi swap, because these go to 2.5. I needed 3-inch, so they sent me 3-inch. I had these left over. These are nice transition, see there? So you basically come in here and measure where these are going to come down, like that, and you basically line it all up. So I've got it pretty much dead even where it's going to go. Now it looked a lot better than this. I've had to, you know, manipulate the pipe a little bit, and it'll move up and down and slide down the brackets. So what I have to do now, I have to go to the parts store and get one of those slip collars that go across the same size pipe as 2.5. I can literally get a slip collar that goes in between here, tighten it down, holds it in place, and it shouldn't leak. If it does, I can always take it off and have it welded. But for now, just to get this exhaust finished putting it on, that'll take care of getting my H-pipe on here and then finish getting the catback exhaust on it. So that's going to have this all up in here. Hopefully everything's going to work out fine. I do have a couple extra bolts for hardware I can put in the headers, but you could see the difference between the regular steel that rusted and actually broke the bolts off versus the other bolts that did not. What's happening, YouTube? All right, so next day, had to go get a couple parts for the 93 Cobra. One was this tailpipe extender. Basically, Flowmaster didn't do their job and increase the size of either the tailpipe or the muffler so they could go together. They're identical sizes. So I've got this to expand the size on it. Also, one of these clamps that go between that broke, so I had to go buy another replacement. And I'd ordered some different rubber hangers, won't be here next week, so I got some more cheap ones just to drop everything down so I could get it in place. So I'm going to show you how this works, and we're going to expand the muffler just like Flowmaster had done on this side. This was expanded to allow the tailpipe to go in. So what you do, you insert the tool through here. You don't want to get all the way to here, just go to about right here at this point. I have an impact. I can put this on here. We're going to tighten it a little bit, and hopefully that's going to expand it a little bit. We don't need much, so I'm going to do this a little bit at a time. Here's what the final product looks like. Flowtech H-pipe, my transition piece with a coupler here, goes to this. Bolts of the Flowmaster, goes up and over, and then out. Pretty decent. I don't like the way the tailpipes are right here, real close. Even what he had before was real close over here. And also what I don't like is Flowmaster did not have these openings opened up all the way, so the tailpipe barely fits into the muffler and wouldn't go all the way down, which would be nice if the pipe slid out in and out easily. You could adjust how deep the pipe goes. The reason I say that is you don't have much clearance here where the pipe goes up. So when you set the car on the ground, the rear end's going to want to hit these pipes. And this side was even worse because it was the exact same size. And I had that expander and I put it in here and I kept working it, trying to get the pipe to go in. But even with the expander, because this is steel, I couldn't get it to go but so much. All right, moment of truth. We're gonna see how these new Flowmaster sound. Cobra with the new exhaust and some mods. We're gonna go put some gas in it real quick. Brakes feel pretty good. Clutch feels good. Temperature gauge is working, the aftermarket one and the stock one down here. Oil pressure's good. Other than the dash lights need to be addressed a little bit. Taking it easy though. Wow, these tires are very weird feeling. Woo. It's running good, nice and cool. All the temperatures look good, oil pressure looks good. We're cruising. Go over here and get some gas real quick. got gas on the way back. I might need to add a little bit of coolant in my overflow bottle. My low coolant light's on. It's triggered by the overflow bottle, which is about normal, but we should be good. Good news is the brakes are working, power steering's working, the clutch is coming around. It's been a while since I drove a supercharged Fox body, much less a 93 Cobra. I think this is the only one I've ever driven in my life. I drove this car at Mustang Week, Myrtle Beach, probably 15, 16 years ago. This is an awesome car. Still needs some work, still needs to be cleaned up. But for now, it is back. Mechanically, it's back. Temperature's running nice and cool. That was the biggest thing. Brakes feel good, the clutch feels good. The shocks and struts feel wore out though. I mean, you can see it bouncing. It feels like a lowrider. It feels like they are done. High, so I gotta check that out, but I'll let it cool off, go over everything. But this will end the exhaust video. I'm sure you want to hear it one more time, so look it out, let you hear it. So I can't end the video just yet. Remember I told you it felt like the struts and shocks wore out. And how can you tell? Because just that simple test drive after all these years of the car just sitting static and not actually driving anywhere. Look at it, just that one test drive around the block. And it looks like I have slammed this car with lowering springs. See how high it sits in the back? If you notice, before I left, it was sitting very high stock ride height. And now look at it, it's got a super rake on it, which looks cool, you know what I mean? Because you know how I like a rake. Check out my Charger, right? How it's sitting on top of the tire. My Charger's supposed to be sitting like that. It actually rides really good. That car is not supposed to be sitting like that. That's where we're at. But this is what your Cobra look like if you lower it. Just to give you an idea from front to back. Looks cool though. Hey, but a quick successful outing just up the block, very close by to the gas station. Filled the gas tank up with gas. It's got fresh 93 octane in it. And the reason I like this station, it's ethanol free. So there's 0 ethanol in it, pure 93 octane. And now the car has run a little bit. It's got the fluids up to temperature with the rear end and the transmission. So all the fluid cycles I did and the power steering with the brakes and everything, everything's been cycled now fully, which is good. And now that I've actually exercised the engine, all the temperature gauges are working properly now, which is good. And it probably cycled an air pocket or something out of it, or it pulled some out of the overflow, which is why it shows low coolant. So I'll let it cool off. I'll check it over again. I'm going to change the oil in it because I've driven it now. And I've got to check, I did get a smoke tester and I smoke tested it the other day. I had no vacuum leaks that I could find, but it definitely is idled up, which feels like a vacuum leak somewhere. The bypass for the Vortec is working good now. I did test it, but I got to trace it. It has multiple vacuum lines. One's going to an MSD box, which is behind the headlight and the front bumper here. So I got to make sure that vacuum line is not deteriorated. That's one thing I did not change. But I've got to find it. There's definitely a vacuum leak somewhere causing it to have the high idle is what I believe. And the idle air control motor, I never took it off and cleaned it. I'm thinking about taking that off and cleaning it as well, because that's another thing on a Fox body. The idle air control motor can make it do funny thing, make the idle hang and actually make it have a higher idle. So I might take that off and clean it. We may even change, I may get one from Fastlane and change it out while I'm there. But overall, the Cobra slowly coming back to life. So I hope you enjoy the video, follow along with me. It's a really cool project. I really like this car. Talk to you soon. See you.